Hi there, first grade friends. It's Mrs. King from Plum Point Elementary. I hope you're having a great day so far today. Today, we are going to be doing something a little bit different. We are going to be reading a text, but we're also going to start in the next few lessons talking about the difference between literature books and informational texts. Today, we're going to focus on the characteristics of literature. So we have a book today that's called Froggy Goes to School. And this book is a literature book. So it tells a story and it has a structure like characters, a setting, a problem, a solution, and a sequence of events. Things happen at the beginning, the middle, and the end. Okay, so when our author wrote this book, it's not exactly based on anything true. The author had to use his imagination to write this book, and the illustrator had to do the same. These are all different characteristics of literature books. So our book is called Froggy Goes to School by Jonathan London. Froggy Goes to School. What can I learn from that title? What can I learn from the illustration on this front cover? Do we think this might be a literature book? I think so too. There's going to be characters, there's going to be a setting, actually there's going to be multiple settings, a problem, solution, and things are going to have a sequence in which they happen, a beginning, middle, and end. All right, so I'm ready to dig in, are you? Let's look at a few keywords first before we get started.
Here are a few key vocabulary terms and phrases that we might see in this book. Hist to a stop. Leapfrogged. And squirmed. Let's look for these keywords and phrases as we read and see if we can understand what they mean. Before we read, I want to introduce a tool that your teacher has in their classroom to help you remember the features of a piece of literature, like Froggy Goes to School. This is called a literature walk, and it reminds us that we can retell or recount the story in order. The next thing we have in a piece of literature is called the setting. Our book today will have several settings. Your book will also have characters if it is a piece of literature. Our book today has several characters we will meet. We also have a sequence of events, first, next, then, last. I also explained this earlier as beginning, middle, and end. Today our story is a piece of literature, and so it will have a beginning, a middle, and an end. And when we retell it, we can use words like first, next, then, and last. And finally, we're going to visit the plot. The plot is where we find our problems or challenges and our solutions. There's more to this, but you're going to learn that as we keep going in first grade. Are you ready to read? Let's go. All right, let's take a look at our front cover. Our title is Froggy Goes to School. Our author is by Jonathan London. Our text is illustrated by Frank Remiquitz. Take a look at that front cover illustration. I think I see Froggy, and I think I see his school. The next thing we can check out is the back cover. And finally, the title page. Remember that the title page reminds us of the title of the book, the author, the illustrator, and sometimes it gives us an extra sneak peek or it shows us the same picture from the cover. In this case, we're getting an extra sneak peek of illustrations from the text. It was the first day of school. Froggy woke up and looked out the window. The sun was high in the sky. "Oh no, the bus, he cried. "I'll miss the bus." Friends, did we meet a new character? Sure we did. It's Froggy. He hopped out of bed and flopped outside. Flop, flop, flop. The school bus was leaving. "Wait, wait," he yelled, and took a mighty hop. The bus hissed to a stop, and the door folded open. Froggy flopped up the steps, flop, flop, flop. But when he reached the top, everybody laughed and pointed their fingers. All right, friends, we had our first two settings. We were in Froggy's house, and now we're on the bus. It also seems like we might be getting ready to meet our first problem. "Froggy!" yelled his friend Max. "What? Did you forget something?" Froggy looked down. Oops! He was in his underwear. Oh no. Do we have a problem, friends? I think so. He dashed to the back of the bus and hid behind Max's umbrella all the way to school. At school, he hopped behind the bushes. He tried to hide behind the flagpole. He rolled down the hall like a bowling ball. And in class, he pretended to be a flower pot. "Froggy!" called his teacher. "What?" But it wasn't his teacher at all. It was his father. We met a new character. Froggy rubbed his eyes. He had been dreaming. Oh, thank goodness. He was still in bed. "Rise and shine, Froggy," said his father. "It's the first day of school." This time, Froggy got all dressed. Zip, zoop, zup, zut, 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 zat. Then he flopped into the kitchen. Flop, flop, flop. He tried to pour milk on his bowl of flies, but the carton flew out of his hands. "You're just nervous about school, Froggy," said his mother. "Everybody is the first day." "Not me," cried Froggy. Okay, so we met another character. We met Froggy's mom. And I think we see another problem coming up. Do we see the problem that Froggy is nervous? And together they leapfrogged all the way to the bus stop. Flop, flop, flop. What do you think leapfrog meant? Look at the way that Mom's getting ready to jump over Dad. And what do you think Froggy did? I see bounce marks in the picture. He must have jumped over Dad too. At school, Froggy found his name tag on his table. He liked his name. It was the first word he knew how to read. It was the only word he knew how to read. Froggy. He read it aloud, louder and louder. "Froggy!" cried his teacher, Miss Witherspoon. "What?" "Hush, dear. It's time to pay attention." But it was hard to pay attention. He squirmed. What does squirmed mean? He's moving around in his seat. He couldn't sit still. He looked out the windows at the falling leaves. He felt like a leaf. Falling, falling, plop. He fell out of his chair. Oops! "Kindly stay in your seat, dear," said Miss Witherspoon. "We'll sit on the floor at circle time." At circle time, Miss Witherspoon said, "Now, children, today I'd like you to tell us what you did last summer. Who wants to go first?" Froggy shouted, "Me, me, 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 me," and so did Max. Miss Witherspoon went clap, 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 and everybody went clap, 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 clap with her. They grew very quiet. "Now, one at a time," said Miss Witherspoon. Do you think Froggy is getting less nervous about school? When Froggy's turn came, he jumped up and said, "Last summer I learned how to swim," and he sang, "Bubble, bubble, toot, toot, chicken, airplane, soldier." Everybody jumped up and joined in. Bubble, bubble, toot, toot, chicken, airplane, soldier. I think we're getting ready to meet a new character. When, in walked the principal, Mr. Mugwort. That's a new character, friends. Bubble, bubble, oops, cried Froggy, looking more red in the face than green. Mr. Mugwort glared at him. Then he joined in. Bubble, bubble, toot, toot, chicken, airplane, soldier, till the bell rang for recess. When Froggy flopped off the bus after school, his father said, "Froggy, how was your first day of school?" "Great," said Froggy. "I taught the principal how to swim." That's nice," said his mother. "But where is your lunchbox and baseball cap?" "Oops, I left them at school." "Oh, Froggy, will you ever learn?" said his mother. "That's why I'm going to school, Mom." And together they leapfrogged all the way home. Flop, flop, flop. That was a great story. We saw several characteristics of literature while we read that story. We saw characters like Froggy and his dad and his mom and his teacher, Miss Witherspoon, and also his friends and the principal. We also saw several settings: his house, the bus stop, the bus, and also at school. We also learned of some problems that Froggy had and his solutions, how he solved them. When we retell this story, we need to tell it in order, with the beginning, the middle, and end, or it won't make sense. There's a few other ways that you can tell that a book is literature. It might have illustrations. Did this one have illustrations? It sure did. Someone took the time to draw pictures to match this story that came up in the author's imagination. And finally, you have to read a literature book in order. You can't bounce around, or else it's not going to make sense. So today what you're going to do in your reader response journal is you are going to write the title of your book, which is Froggy Goes to School, and then we're going to draw a picture that shows why this book is literature. So let's revisit our anchor chart one more time. These are the things that you can choose to draw. You can choose to draw characters, setting. You can choose to draw something that happened in the story and how you had to read it in order. You can draw the problem or the solution. I would love for you to label your picture as you go. Let's try it with Mrs. King's Reader Response Journal. Okay, friends, here's Mrs. King's Reader Response Journal. So what we're doing today in our Reader Response Journal is we are showing one way that this story, Froggy Goes to School, is a piece of literature, a literature text. So, first thing I would love for you to do is write the title of our book, Froggy Goes to School. I'm going to write it on this top line. Froggy goes to school. You can pause the video and write this in your journal if you'd like to. Okay, now I can revisit my anchor chart or the literature walk, and I'm going to pick one way that Froggy Goes to School is a literature book. I think I'm going to focus on the characters. Alright, so we had a character. His name was who? Froggy. So I'm going to draw his hat. Okay, there's Froggy. Let me label him. And Froggy is a character. I think I also want to add a setting that I saw in this book, and that setting is going to be the school bus. I think I need to label it. And the school bus was a setting. Okay, now you try. Draw and label one characteristic that you found from Froggy Goes to School that makes it a literature text. Remember, you can use the literature walk or our anchor chart to help you. Your turn. Have a great day.